Hello, happy holidays, happy new year. Know the bird here. In this video, I was going to be taking a look at this street letter box lock I got from my mom for Christmas. This is an antique post office lock that would have been used on street letter boxes um, between 1897 and really up in as late as like the 70s, I believe. 1970s. I think they were still in use. So it's a neat little lock. My mom gave it to me without a key. So in this video, I was going to talk about the history of it and how I was able to make a key for it. Um, I made my first key from a photo of it, but also I'll be showing like impressioning it. So that's what we'll be looking at in the video real quick. So first I'll start with some history. You can check out antiquepadlocks.com to see a lot of photos of different versions of these. There are different versions of them. There's ones pre 1897 from like the 1870s and 1880s. They're not street letter box locks. They're called something else, like I think star locks, or I'm not sure, so I don't want to butcher the terminology, but there are some other versions there. If you take a look at antiquepadlocks.com, they'll list some patents for these locks. I did take a look at the patents they show, and none of them, to me, look like this lock exactly. This one here is different for sure. This one's definitely not the same thing either. And then this third one isn't it either. But you may have a lock that looks similar to this, and maybe somebody called it a street letter box lock, but it might be one of those earlier locks too. So check out antiquepadlocks.com if you're not sure. I looked at if you check out YouTube, there's a Jareth Garza. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's got some cutaways that he's made of these, which was really helpful to sort of get an idea of how these locks work. So I'll just sort of go through that real quick. So the way it looks like, what we've got here is, so we've got this one pin right here that the shackle sort of rotates on. We've got another pin right here that seems to be holding this lever arm and this bolt that holds the shackle down right here. And then we've got our levers down here rotating on this pin. I believe these two pins are just to guide the key in, and I believe this pin right here is just to prevent this from perhaps spinning in here. I'm not entirely sure the purpose of this last pin, if it's holding some of the springs or if it's structural. I can't say for sure. So yeah, we've got this. As we push in the key through these levers get lifted and the gates line up with that pawl right there. It can rotate down, and then the bolt can open. So you can see here, put the key in, you just push it in, pops open. You can see on the inside there. You can remove the key. When you remove the key, all those levers are held at the correct position, and you can just close this pushing down on that. So you don't need to, you can see that's not actually related. You can pop it back open, close it like so. You can see, insert it in the wrong way, upside down, doesn't work. So it is not a reversible key in that sense. So that's the general operation of the lock. I'm not aware of any false gates on any of them. I didn't see any in the video from Jareth Garza, and I didn't feel anything like that to tell me there are. I didn't see any other like special security features that I know of, and I don't know the spring placements, how they're laid out in there. There is one other hole right here you can see. That would have been to attach to a chain, and the chain could be attached to like the street letter box, so it's a little harder for this to go missing or get lost or something like that. So it stays with stuff. And these would have been used from, I don't know if I already said it, but 1897 to probably the early 70s. And you can actually see a lot of these in photos. If you look at photos of different mailboxes from the past, you'll see these in there, and it's kind of neat. I did want to show one quick thing I thought was kind of cool from antiquepadlocks.com, which is in one of the patents right here. You can see that this pawl right here, H, is separate from this lever arm D. And what that means is if you were to pull on the shackle here, eventually H would catch it and you wouldn't be able to keep putting pressure on the lever arm here against the gates. So I thought that was kind of a neat feature to try to um, maybe make uh, decoding this or adding tension or tensioning this harder. Um, I do think you could get around it by pushing one of these levers up and hitting that little notch on H, or by shimming it to release it and then pulling up on the shackle. But I thought it was cool that they had that feature in there and they were thinking about it. And they also have this sort of bar of metal right here to sort of restrict access and like for decoding and things like that. So I thought that was some neat security features. I don't know if this was ever actually implemented on one of their other models, but it looks like a neat lock. Um, so going back to this one, um, they have a number on them. This number, I believe, goes from 1 to, I don't know if it's 125 or 150. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I'm not sure if they use every single number. You may see 2 digits like this, or you may see 5 digits. So when they originally started producing them, they used 5 digits. And I believe the first 2 digits are going to be your code, and the other 3 are part of some serial number. And then in later ones, they just have the 2 digits. I think that might be after the 50s or so. They just have the 2 digits, but I'm not 100% sure on those dates. Um, in 1918, the USPS made a mail equipment shop outside of Washington, D.C., and they actually managed all of the U.S. Postal Service locks from 1918 until 2014. I think 2002 is when they officially stopped managing everything, but they were in service until 2014. Basically, responsible for making these, responsible for key control, and everything like that. Um, Around the 70s, it looks like they started phasing these out for internally built locks, these arrow lever locks. I'm not sure exactly how the arrow lever locks work. I haven't seen those taken apart. But start to see those come around on the 70s and 80s. And those are still in use today. They've also got some more advanced versions of them. I think they're called modified arrow locks that are made with Medico cores to make the keys harder to duplicate because of that biaxial key and getting that rotation. So even if you have a photo of the key, it's harder to make duplicates. I think that's always been an issue from the past till even today is key control. They want to be able to have just a few keys for the postal workers to use, but at the same time, when those get stolen, it's a big risk. I've heard that they're as of 2023, they might be testing some sort of electronic locks in high risk areas where the keys need some kind of periodic activation. So something like if the key's not used for a day, it becomes invalid or it will no longer be accepted. I don't know the details of how that works at all, so I can't really speak to it. But it does sound interesting. It sounds like one of the ways they're trying to, improve security nowadays, so that those, if those master keys go missing, that it's not as devastating. At some point in the 1950s, they also phased out some of the numbers that they were issuing. And I don't know if that was just because they had less, they didn't need them, or if because they had, so many people had access to the master keys that it was becoming a problem. So I'm not sure about that. Yeah, and it looks like nowadays the Postal Service, I guess they don't have the mail equipment shops anymore, although those are a National Historic Site. I don't know if it's public. Um, I think now it's the National Material Customer Service Department is handling sort of their lock control, and I think they work with Compex Security to produce some of the locks and also recycle some of them. And I don't know how all those deals work as far as that private-public partnership goes. So, yeah, that's what I have been able to learn about the history of it. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm forgetting there. Um, I'll put some links in the description so you can check out more in case I forgot anything. Okay, so how do we pick it? The easiest way by far is to look for a picture of the key. There's photos of the keys all over the internet. You can check antiquepadlocks.com. A lot of the photos of the keys are going to be right there, and you can copy one. I found a photo of the key for this one on eBay. So when you're searching eBay, when you're looking for these, if you don't see one like that's actually being sold with the key, change your filter results to look for sold. And that's actually where I saw the picture of this one, was in the sold results. And I was able to find a picture of the key for the 55. And I was able to sort of line up some pins and test it, and see that that works. And that was a nice confirmation. Okay, the lock's working, and when I actually open it or find a way to pick it, I'll be able to do that. Jareth Garza also said that he had a list of the different keys for it. I don't know if you could reach out to him if you couldn't find one. And then there's also impressioning, which I'll show. And Lauren LP101, if you check out that channel, he's also been able to open some of these. And I think that he points to Lockpicking 101 for instructions on how to do it. I'm not sure if it's the same person, if Lauren LP101 is also Lauren Arndt. But I think that person said there was also there was another method that I wasn't familiar with for decoding them. There's also videos from USPS where he's working on a 6-lever champion lock that's similar to this, and you can also reach between the levers and decode by feeling the gates. So there's a few different ways to open them. I haven't seen anybody picking them, and I tried to pick it, and I didn't have any luck. And the amount of time I spent on it, I'm not sure why. Like, it seems, logically it seems doable. I don't see anything that says you can't pick this, but I didn't have any success with it, and I don't see any videos of people doing it. So maybe there's some devil in the details there as to why that is. So what I ended up doing, because I did want to try to, pick it open or impression it open, is I went with impressioning. That's what I saw Nigby do. He had also mentioned that it was not easy. And I also saw that USPS had said that the impressioning is not easy. So they were right. I had a lot of trouble getting it to where it would work. So here's what I've got now. I've got a couple blocks of wood and just some clamps that I can adjust the tension on, some washers. In between, I've got a little bit of leather, and then I've got some pins here. The pins that I ended up using were some incredible hooks that my wife had in the closet right there. I did have to file these down, so I cut them, I filed them down, and then I hit them with a wire brush on the grinder to sort of smooth them out real good. One way you can tell if you've got them small enough is if you've got like a pick like this with this kind of handle. If you slide that in there, that's about the smoothness you're going to want. You're going to want that same level of smoothness when you insert your impressioning pins. If it feels rougher than this, then you probably need to use either a different pen or file it down and polish it some more so that it can go in there smoothly. Yeah, I tried other things. I tried cotter pins. I thought these would be great, but they would kind of rotate on me, and they just didn't stand. They didn't stay in position as well as I wanted. I tried Allen keys, which is what the actual key is made of. I just didn't have success with them, but I did use this afterwards to go ahead and make the key. So like once you actually have it and once you have it set, you can just drop sort of whatever pins you want in there and line them up to get your key set up. And that's what I did for the actual key there. So yeah, I tried some other pin material, and the Incredible Hooks is what eventually worked for me. I think Nigby also had said that somebody had used ejector pins, and that might work even better. As far as material, I tried a belt with fake leather, and I didn't have great results. And at one point, I even noticed it was crumbling apart and sort of getting stuck on there. So maybe not the best choice. I tried these felt pads. These were really smooth, and they just didn't grip very well, so they slid really easily through it. What I ended up using was some leather from a tool belt that I cut up, and that's what I stuck with. And yeah, so you're sort of dialing in the tension on this. If you stick it in and all the pins move really easily, then you need to tighten it up. If you stick it in and nothing moves, no matter how hard you push, you need to loosen it down. And eventually you'll find some middle ground where some of them move. And you're just going to sort of adjust your tension there, how hard you're pushing, to sort of zone that in. For this one, what I found is I get better results if I slightly pull on the shackle. So for me, I pull a little bit on this shackle when I push this in, and I think I've found like the sort of magic spot for me in this lock. I don't know if that applies to other locks. It might be this works great for this lock and doesn't work for others. And I did also use lube on this lock. Nigby had suggested that, and so I did put that in there as well. All right, and when I'm holding this, I'm just using my hand. I'm trying to avoid touching the pins on the back, and I'm not holding it where I'm like clamping down on this and adjusting the pressure on them either. I'm just keeping my hand out of the way, and I'm trying to line it up straight, and hopefully we can do this live. All right, then I click, and let's see. It's pretty close. All right, so I'm going to try one more time. Well, not one more time. We're going to get this open, but try that again. Push, push, push. Okay. Get it. There we go. Nice. Yeah, so that is the magic. When you actually get that tension just right, it's pretty magical. It's the same thing with like the tubular picks. If you've ever messed with them, when you get that tension down on those, you usually open it in a few seconds. It's not something you're doing for like 10 or 15 minutes. It's a few seconds, and if it doesn't work, reset and try again. And so eventually when I got the tension right on this, it was just kind of magical and worked, which is super nice. And I did not expect it to work this well. And yeah, pulling on the shackle is important for me for getting this to work. I don't know if that's going to be the same for everybody else. But for me, pulling on the shackle and then also releasing it, you hear that little click there, and then trying it is the trick. That's the magic recipe that worked for me. Anyways, it's gotten to be a very long video. But then, yeah, I just glued when you're done, you can, clamp this down real tight. And then you can like glue it or do whatever you want to make your actual key out of it. And this one I copied Nigby. His is a lot nicer. He actually files out the middle of the quarters so that they're flush and everything's neat. I just piled a bunch of super glue in there and did it that way. But yeah, anyways, this video has gotten way too long as it is. But that's the information on these street letter boxes. Thank you all for watching if you're still here. And take care and hope you all have a happy new year. Bye.